You know, I think all babies are really cute. I love my children. I want to have more children. I'm envious of people around the office when they have children. And I got to tell you, I've seen white babies, Hispanic babies, Asian babies, black babies. I think they're all super cute. But I got to tell you, black babies are really cute. They're all cute. You know, protesting in abortion clinics, back when I had time to do this 16, 17 years ago, I've produced anti-abortion shows. I've done it all, folks. That's one of the reasons I got started, was pro-gun, pro-life. You know, I'm pro-defense. I'm pro-life, so I'm pro-gun, to defend our right to not be run over. And running into people on the so-called left at Access TV and in talk stations and city people and you know, city, quote, officials, authorities, formerly public servants, I learned that they have a statement they make. And I would imagine Reverend Clenard Childress can second this. We're about to go to break. We're going to go to him. That what they always say is, when you're protesting, they'll walk up and they'll look at you. The Planned Parenthood people do this when your camera isn't on. They'll go, "Are you going to adopt these black babies?" And the first 20 times you hear it, you're like, what are they talking about? You know, these are liberals. I thought liberals aren't racist. Then you figure out, folks, the real racists pose as liberals. As Margaret Sanger said, we're going to pose as liberals. We're going to hire black leaders with doctorates, and we're going to kill these people. I mean, I laugh in an evil laugh, folks, because they're laughing at you. And we have more and more video clips where you can call up Planned Parenthood and go, "I just want to get money to kill blacks." "Oh, yes, we know. Oh, yes." You know, those recordings, we played them. And, hey, how dare you want to adopt these babies? They're ugly black babies. Reverend Childress, I would imagine, because you're pro-life and in the middle of this, I've never asked you this, you're on the spot. Have you before heard this thing where it's like a standard go-to, #1 thing in their playbook? I guess like the rush or something in football, where they say, who wants the black babies? I mean, what is it with this black baby thing?
Well, you know, that's basically somewhat systemic, especially, and as you surprisingly have pointed out, that the Democratic Party is unquestionably, and liberal people are unquestionably as racist as any Southern or any other part of our sector of our community. And I have right on my website, blackgenocide.org, an abortionist not ashamed to say it right out in the public, one of the reasons why he's doing abortions. As you know, it's becoming increasingly more difficult for the abortion industry to find people who want to do abortions. And so it appears that the ones that they're having now are just cold, sure enough, down outright racist, and didn't mind sprouting that
Stay
message.
there. And by the way, I've been giving the website out wrong, even though I've interviewed you probably 10 times. It's blackgenocide.org. Who knows where I'm sending you at the com. Blackgenocide.org. Stay there, sir. We're going to come right back to you to break all that down. Yeah, and that's what this is all about. So all of you that love abortion, you love murdering black people, we'll be right back. You're so liberal. Sick of the globalist eugenicist control freaks adding poison to your water and laughing as you get sick and die? Start purifying your water with ProPur. My friends, I've done a lot of research, and the best gravity filter out there, bar none, is ProPur, and it's available discounted at Infowars.com. Its filters are silver impregnated to prevent bacterial growth. There's no priming required. It's NSF 42 certified. Optional fluoride filters can reduce fluoride up to 95%. Easy to set up and use. Doesn't require electricity. Purify water from lakes, streams, ponds, and wells. This filter system leaves in beneficial minerals, which is key. Save money by not buying bottled water and avoid BPA that leaches from the plastic. ProPur is the best gravity-fed filter out there. It's what my family uses. Infowars.com already has the lowest price on ProPur. But if you add the promo code WATER at checkout, you get an additional 10% off at Infowars.com. You can also call to order 888-253-3139. What the system does is they force blacks and others onto welfare, destroy their families. Pre-1960, you can look these numbers up, blacks had less illegitimacy than whites. Now blacks are over 90% illegitimate. The prisons are where the vast majority of black males end up getting sent. MTV pumps out absolute cultures of death, gangsterism on purpose. I've talked to insiders, not that it's not obvious, to destroy. And then people stand back and make fun of a wrecked community when everybody else's community is being wrecked as well. The blacks are just further down the Hades hole than everybody else. And let me tell you, for racists out there, folks, if you sign on to thinking it's cool to kill babies of any type, let me tell you something. I don't want to be on the side of the mojo you're getting. And believe me, I've been around the so-called liberals, and they hiss at you, and you find out they're really hardcore racist. See, a hardcore racist doesn't dress up in a Klan outfit. They go dress up with long hair and sandals. I'm not saying people in long hair and sandals are all racist. The point is the real hardcore ones, that's how they operate. That's what Margaret Sanger set up. It's called camouflage. And Reverend Clenard Childress of blackgenocide.org breaks this down. Coming back from the next segment, we're going to play the clip of just one of the genocidists, talking about how wonderful it is to get rid of the ugly black babies. And that's what that is. When you want to get rid of a race, that's genocide. And we're going to be breaking that down. And then they've got liberal black groups that lobby to make sure whites can't adopt black babies. And they say it's a cultural issue. It's better to chop them up. Reverend, keep going. The break interrupted you with the points you were making.
Well, basically, I think you basically said it quite well, that this racism has very well been disguised. And people, and I believe it's because, right, this is a two-party nation, I know, and Republican Party was begun to stop slavery and usually takes the higher ground. But in the black community, the deception has been that the Democratic Party, because of quote unquote being liberal and more humanistic when it comes to their thinking politically, are not going to perpetrate racism when they have been the greatest advocates of racism basically this country's ever known, under deception. Now, the reason why that happens, though, it is just like, believe it or not, what Malcolm X said. You have the house Negro and then you have the field Negro. Well, Jay Jackson, Al Sharpton, the Congressional Black Caucus have somewhat become profiteers from this dilemma, this particular genocide that's been going on in our community, not only with abortion, but education also. And it is more or less they are now just to keep African Americans in line and dumb to the truth. And your program is especially important in any program like this that will expose the truth of genocide and expose the true perpetrators of it. And unfortunately, our leadership has sold out. As Malcolm said, they have become house Negroes. I don't espouse the Muslim faith, but I do know truth when I hear it. And they are profiting from it. And it's the main reason why Al Sharpton's on MSNBC. These people basically are given a platform, and African Americans by nature are very suspicious of any other source other than the sources that they have chosen for news. And so they infiltrated those sources and bought off as Margaret Sanger said, she'll hire a colored minister. Well, that's what basically has happened. They've been hired, bought out, and the Holocaust continues. Educational Holocaust continues, and the family.
What is it like when you see her on the cover of Time magazine praising her as a loving liberal, knowing she was Adolf Hitler, basically advisor?
Yeah, the Smithsonian said that she's one of the best 100 people of the past century. Once again, any cursory search at all, the woman was not just racist, she was a devout racist, diabolical racist, and tutored Adolf Hitler in the Third Reich. I mean, what other credentials do you need other than that? And of course, I know the Comstock laws were kind of strict, but nevertheless, she gave it her life to destroy any type of morality in the country when it came to sexualization, because she had her own issues. But she also looked at African Americans or people of color, as you've already stated, as human weeds. She's on record saying this, spawning human beings that should have never been born. I mean, this is the language that she used, and knew she was wise. She knew the black preacher was very, very much an influence on the African American community, and still is today. Not as much as it once has been, but certainly still is today. And she said, well, we'll hire a black face, a colored face. And they paid these ministers off, by the way, which is not talked about.
Stay there. Let's come right back. It's a long segment coming up. We'll play that clip, too. I mean, these letters she wrote are on record. She said, we're going to hire blacks, and they'll get in there and help us exterminate these weeds.
Everything we said came true. Everything we've done has been right.
want you to understand something. You're not listening to rhetoric here. You're not listening to Alex Jones, that's yours truly, spinning something. You're not listening to me give you my perspective. Margaret Sanger, Planned Parenthood, the eugenicists were 100% funded by 4 robber barons and the British royal family. Well, the Dutch royal family funded some of it as well. The Rockefeller Foundation funded most of that. This is like Pulitzer Prize-winning books. This is like mainline history. Hitler came out of them. Hitler was Time Magazine Man of the Year. They had gardening magazines with Hitler on the cover. My grandfather remembers growing up in Dallas, and they would put Hitler on the radio and translate it in the 30s and said, this is what we need in America. And some of their family was German immigrants, well, originally German immigrants, and they would have, debates about it. And they were saying, oh, no, Hitler's bad, because they could speak a little bit of German. He remembers his dad and talking about it and saying, oh, no, they're going to take over. It's going to be bad. But the point is, in the 30s, they were saying Hitler was good on Dallas radio. Hitler was a rock star in this country. Mexico had eugenics. And this is all eugenics. And here's the point. You can look at these inner city neighborhoods. I don't care if it's poor Appalachian whites or poor blacks or whatever it is. It is atrocious. It is horrible. You can laugh at the Obama lady saying Obama gave us a phone. He's going to do more. And at one level, it's funny. But at the other level, it's very sad to laugh at some people in Appalachia. I was just there 3 or 4 months ago driving through. It was scary, folks. Those people look like they've had their souls sucked out. And that's what dependency has done. And here's the thing. So-called liberals will say, oh, really? Look at the inner cities. They're so horrible. You want more of those people? And I'm like, you know what? You guys did that to them. I happen to have studied the anthropology, and I happen to know that those neighborhoods weren't like that just 60 years ago. Our government shipped the drugs in there, ran the prostitutes in there, brought those areas down, and went in and put those young men in prison to a college on how to be criminals, and the gangster rap and the whole agenda, and then you say, let's kill them. Well, let me tell you something to the fake liberal yuppie types out there, or the useful idiots, because I know some of them that actually believe they're helping people with all this welfare and the rest of it. It's domestication for institutionalization and extermination. You saw the big bioethics journal a few months ago come out and say, hey, let's kill babies up to age 3. You hear about them euthanizing people all over the country. They're attacking everybody, as Tony Brown of Tony Brown's Journal has pointed out. What you see done to the blacks is going to be done to everybody. Let me tell you something, folks. This is a reap what you sow thing. You buy into evil against some minority that you feel superior over. Let me tell you, if you really are superior, and I don't mean racially, I mean spiritually, you want to lift everybody up, because instinctively you know that what's being done to somebody else is going to be done to you. And God will say to you, I don't want to start preaching here. We got the pastor for that. When you're there, go away from me, I know you not. They were hungry. They were poor. They were dumbed down, and you didn't help them. You didn't know them. So I don't know you. And folks, I don't even need to be intellectual about this. My soul shakes with God fear when I even think about people that think it's cute to want to exterminate black people, or anybody else for that matter. Reverend, I know I'm ranting. Take it away for a moment. We'll play this clip. You've got it all up on your site. How many blacks have been exterminated? Was it 51% haven't been born? Where is it all going? Do you have comments on what I've just said?
Well, basically, most people don't know what you just said, but history, it is repeating it, because you mentioned Hitler. At first, the scapegoat was the Jews. Then it was everybody, Poland, Russia, whoever. It's about control, and it's about domination, it's about power. And this is what basically gets the ball started. And whatever is being sown in this community eventually will come back on the society as a whole. And so, yes, 52% of all African-American pregnancies end in abortion. There's roughly over, I'd say now, 21 million since 1973. And so if indeed 1,786 a day. Now, that's a conservative figure, because all abortuaries don't have to report. But from what we get from the CDC and the Center for Disease Control and the Alan Guttmacher Institute, which they're very proud of because they're the learning arm of Planned Parenthood, it is 1,786 a day. That's genocide. African Americans is the only ethnic group in this country at this present time that is not replacing itself. You need 2.1 births to replace itself, and right now we're at 1.96. And so, believe it or not, in Europe, in some nations, the Italian nations, some others even worse. But right now, that's genocide. And people used to say that's hyperbole, you're radical, you're just, a Republican funk, you're a conservative nutcase. But basically, it's a sociological fact. There is Black genocide going on right now as I speak. And unfortunately, as you've already stated so eloquently, the reason is African-American leadership are profiting from this. They are profiting from it, so there is no cry nor any voice in our community that has the platform that will deal with this. I want quite real quick, 1530 out there in Chicago, please, 246 homicides within a year, and there was only 146 in Afghanistan. And Father Flagler and Barack Obama, who came out of that, Jesse Jackson and Reverend Jeremiah Wright, has not lifted up their voices in harmony against this, brought in the Congressional Black Caucus, NAACP. Why? They don't care. As long as it's not up disrupting their little world, these homicides and this horrible black-on-black crime continues. But it's just another form of genocide. But they're not, if they're not going to say anything about that, they're not going to say anything about 1,786 African Americans killed each day by abortion, especially if they're profiting from it. They profit from this, and yet they present themselves as guides to the African American community.
Well, I mean, isn't that the litmus test? If Black leaders are for abortion, then they hate humans. I mean, not just Black people. I have had many meetings, and I've talked to and I've been in person with prominent liberal Black leaders. I had dinner with them, you name it. And I'll say, hey, why are you for abortion? And it's like a religious thing. It's their entry into the Democratic Party. They will defend it all day and even, sit there and kind of halfway run down poor Black people and say, well, you don't want all these babies. You know how many babies I'd have if we weren't aborting them? And again, so first they say don't have morals, the society degenerates, and then you kill people as a form of birth control. And then now, of course, they're in the news saying, hey, let's kill kids up to age 3. Let's euthanize old people. I mean, it's just incredible.
And that's Peter Singer from Princeton, a professor who's been advocating that for years and is sitting teaching supposedly the most finest minds in America. Barack Obama's mother, if she'd have followed his advice, poor and single, he'd have been aborted. Jesse Jackson, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, he was scheduled for an abortion. These same people are now advocates for abortion. It is the biggest hypocrisy I could ever, and people will not hold their feet to the fire.
Let me ask you this. How come Black folks, when their local political controllers get them all hyped up over a police beating or whatever, if you try to talk to them about this abortion thing, they get really angry and don't want to hear it? I mean, it's sick. I mean, can't Black people understand 52% of you aren't born since 1973? Can you get that through your head? This is a big deal. And your leaders won't talk about it because they're eugenicist hired pimps to kill your butt.
That's a good way of expressing it. Hired pimps, no doubt about it. They've been pimping the African-American community for quite some time. Is it getting better? Yes. Are more people coming to the knowledge of the truth? Absolutely. But it could quickly end. It could quickly come to the forefront.
That's where I wanted to go next before this clip. You talk about winning. For those that don't know, polls are now flipped totally against abortion, whereas 30 years ago it was for abortion. Give people those numbers. Black Genocide, 21st Century, Maafa 21 that we sell, the film, at InfoWarsStore.com. Yeah, it's been shown to folks in Congress. So thanks to your work, and others, and of course, evil white Christians that are fighting against the murder of Black people. Thanks to this, things are starting to turn around. Break that down for us, Reverend.
Well, basically, you said it once again, and I wrote a paper when Barack Obama got elected that because he is such the face of Black genocide, this was going to bring awareness to this country as never before on abortion. And exactly, that did happen, and those pollings began to shift. You had the Notre Dame, when he went to speak at Notre Dame, and all these other things happened. And African Americans, this, by the way, Maafa was given to the Congressional Black Caucus. Now, wait a minute, listen to this. Barbara Lee had a meeting just a month ago. You need to get Day Gardner on your program. She was right there. She told the Congressional Black Caucus that Reverend Childress mentioned my name even. I was very proud of that. All the learned people, everybody on this battle, their information is right, but it's not about that. It's about a woman's right to choose and the strength of our party. That is the God's truth. I cried when I heard it. It took me a couple of days to realize, to say I must be doing something if they're mentioning my name, but that's the truth. So it has to be a grassroots. Your program programs like yourself are essential. And if it doesn't come this way, you can forget the top down. After that, I realized it was just a child's dream.
Think about that statement by one of the head people there at the Congress. The statement is, hey, yeah, they are exterminating blacks, but that's what it is to be in our party. They just admit incredible things like it's no big deal.
Listen, if you can boo God and take Jerusalem out of the capital of Israel, you can do just about anything. I've given up. As far as thinking that the present leader, it has to be a massive grassroots movement to force them into doing something of this sort. And it has to be if my people, which are called by my name. It really has to be a grassroots movement. And I was broken by that for a day or so, because I really thought that the Congressional Black Caucus, if they just knew, they would do something about it. Not the case. Their political power. No.
You know, they've been politically tested from the city to the state to the federal level, that they will sign on to abortion, and with black leaders especially, but Democrats period, they are absolutely committed. And they will tell you, let's play that clip here in a moment. Pro-life campaigners, there's a whole bunch of these videos, post video of abortion doctors saying his work helps get rid of ugly black babies. Here is that clip.
Pregnancy and dump it on the taxpayer.
What does that got to do with the baby?
Don't put it on the taxpayer, okay? I don't wish to pay for the baby with my money.
You would rather profit off
Okay, you get it?
You would rather profit off of those children?
No, I'm not profiting. I, as a taxpayer, do not wish to pay for those babies to be born and brought up and kill those people in Colorado. Go ahead and pay for that. Let me see you adopt one of those ugly black babies, okay?
We do.
If you tell us, we'll adopt them.
Yeah, go ahead. Adopt those babies, okay? Take them off the taxpayers' money, okay?
Give us a chance to adopt them.
I have heard this literally hundreds of times. You adopt the black babies, the babies nobody wants. And I've even heard the ugly statement. So that's the mantra going on. And then they have the liberal groups. Again, there's the groups are out there. CNN does reports saying don't let black babies be adopted by whites, because what's happening is you see these billboards up everywhere that says, hey, abortion, you don't have to do it, call us. And all these big Christian charities actually adopt the baby. They pay the woman to have the baby. And it's white, Hispanic, Asian, black. They hate it that there are more people wanting to adopt babies than there are even abortions each year. And they want to keep this hoax going that nobody wants the black babies, because the last thing they want is millions of black babies being adopted by whites, because that would actually bring people together. Reverend, do you disagree with that statement?
No, I do not. I do not. Absolutely. Yeah. All intents and purposes, we would like African Americans to adopt African Americans, but we know we don't live in a perfect world. And the best thing for any child is to have a home. Your excuse was you could not care for the child, okay? All right, we will help you, or we will adopt those who come into this world, those who are left at firehouse stations and police stations. But this is just bigotry. It's underlying bigotry. It is an assault on people of color. It is an ideology. You know, not everybody is profiting from this. Some people just do this, as you mentioned, Rockefeller, Carnegie, and Mellon. They just do this basically from the point of an ideology. We need less people of color in this country. And basically, and there are those, of course, that do profit from it quite well. So adoption, that's the way our scriptures teach us. I was sick, you know, and you visited me. I was hungry and homeless, and you took me in. I mean, that's Christian. I mean, I can tell you the story of the early Christian church, where Rome, and we're heading that way now, would, if for any reason you could leave your baby, if you birthed the baby, you didn't like the shape of the head, the complexion, the hair, the eyes, you could leave that baby by the side of the road, and at the penalty of death, if anyone were to touch that baby, they would be killed, and the baby would be killed instantly. But you were allowed to leave the baby by the side of the road to die. That was Roman law towards the end of their regime. Christians refused to adhere to that law. And no matter how many kids they had, they would rescue those babies from the side of the road and raise them up as their own. That's a historical fact. And yet you have people with collars on talking about that they are representatory of the church, advocating the destruction, the mutilization, the deplorable act of abortion, and then not saying a word of the psychological damage, the physiological damage to the woman itself. Abortion is one of the most ironic issues and hypocritical issues and mind-blowing issues, because if anyone should be shouting against abortion, it should be now the National Organization of Women. It should be those groups for what it does to women.
And by the way, there's so many studies, as you know, that it massively increases cancer to terminate a pregnancy that shouldn't be. The body will do that generally if it's needed. And again, I get back to the issue of just the statement that nobody wants black babies. Obviously, it is good for people, you know, culturally, you know, to be adopted by their group. My point is, it's better than them getting chopped up. We know Hollywood people like to do it as a fad or whatever. My point is, there's this meme, Reverend, that nobody wants black babies.
Well, that is, once again, it's systemic. It is still a part of our system that African Americans, less of them would be better. They are inferior, despite all the records of inventions African Americans have given to the country. But it is just evil. Sometimes we're trying to figure this out sociologically. It is evil people.
Oh, yeah, in the time of Moses, the Pharaoh was ordering the firstborn killed. I mean, governments throughout history demand children be killed. It's called human sacrifice. Stay with us, Reverend. Ask yourselves, what are you doing in this time of great challenge? What are you doing to unlock minds? It is so frustrating that when I attack Obama for all the evil things, Fast and Furious, ending our sovereignty, the comments on the YouTube videos, on Infowars.com, on films like the Obama deception are, you're just a racist. And, you know, I'm pretty young. I'm 38. I grew up in Dallas, black friends, white friends. I really, you know, have not been somebody who is obsessed with race, because I'm into ideas. I'm confident. I'm successful. I found the more confident and successful you are, you know, you tend to not be into this stuff. But it's so frustrating to have race be an opiate that is used by MSNBC and others as a way to divide America and a way to basically keep poor people on this reservation. And that's what it is. It's so incredibly frustrating. And Reverend Childress, has been a powerful interview today. Your Skype's been breaking up a bit, but most of it's gotten out there. In closing, any other points you'd like to make or any comments on all these videos surfacing of Planned Parenthood people saying, yeah, we'll help get rid of the blacks, and, you know, people saying, yeah, we'll kill the ugly black babies. I mean, it's so incredible that then when Christians expose this, the media demonizes us and calls us hateful.
Well, you got to also remember, and I think November 6th is extremely important, because this president has walked hand in hand with Planned Parenthood throughout his whole career. There's never been a clearer time for Christian people or people of conservative thought, of morality. There has never been a clearer time for us to go to the polls. And, you know, I'm not thrilled around, but he is the obvious choice in this election this coming November. No doubt, we just must send a message. We are not going to go for taking God out of the platform of any political group. We're not going for basically a smack of the face against a Christianity of telling me to endorse same-sex marriages and questioning our biblical Judeo-Christian ethic. There's never been a platform to do this. There's never been an election where anyone has been so clearly anti-Christian. Christian better respond in November or else we're in big trouble. And don't believe these ridiculous polls. Everything I'm getting, many people who voted for him are not going to do it this time around, and many people are going to stay home. So but there's never been a time in this country where Christianity has ever been challenged as irrelevant and not viable. And we better go to the polls in November or else we're going to be in big problems. Reverend
Childress, blackgenocide.org. Unbelievable information on your huge site. Very important. People check that out. Thank you for the time today.
Thank you, sir. God bless.
There he goes. God bless you. And remember, folks, it's not just black babies that are in danger. It's just they've gotten ganged up on the most. And, man, if you're God-fearing, folks, and I don't just mean that's some mental thing. I mean, God-fearing means you know when something's wrong. You know when something's evil, and you know when it makes the Creator angry. I mean, God-fearing means I can feel God's anger. I can feel it. And, man, this is bad. And to have them running around like they're liberal, lecturing all of us. You don't like government-run health care? You're a racist. You don't like welfare? You're a racist. Meanwhile, they're chopping these people up left and right. I get so angry, especially at white liberals trying to lecture me. I want to slap them upside the head. And I'll say this about Mitt Romney. He is a globalist. But at least on the surface, he has to say he's anti-abortion. And that, hey, you built your business. I mean, look at with the Democratic Party. They have become purely globalist communist. And that's the plan. They move further towards tyranny. The Republicans act like they're against it. And they move over to where the Democrats used to be. Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.